Welcome to the Prescott Lab podcast. Not just theory, practical science for everyone. I'm Dr. Jonathan Prescott, a physician and integrative medicine researcher at the Ravenshade Institute for Human Health. And today, I'm talking straight to you. Gentlemen in your 60s, maybe 70s, even your glorious 80s. If you've been feeling slower, duller, or just not quite yourself lately, it's not in your head, it's in your biology. And more importantly, it's fixable. Before we dive into the real reason your stamina, drive, and morning spark might be fading, let me ask you for one small thing. It costs nothing, but it might change everything. Hit that like button. Why? Because maybe it's just coincidence, but the men who like this podcast tend to sleep better, feel warmer, and wake up with more inspiring mornings. So do yourself a favor. Give that button a gentle tap. Think of it as a virtual handshake with your future self. And if you're feeling generous, leave a comment too, share your story, ask a question, or simply say, I'm here. This podcast is not about watching passively. It's about reclaiming your energy, your masculinity, and your clarity. One real conversation at a time. If you haven't subscribed yet, now is the moment. Join our growing brotherhood. We talk facts, not fads. And I promise, each episode will leave you with more clarity than any bottle of overpriced supplements ever could. Now, are you ready to feel like yourself again? Then let's begin with the simplest, most overlooked food that could restart your blood flow, reboot your testosterone, and awaken your body from the inside out. Let's talk about soft-boiled eggs, the nitric oxide starter. Let me introduce you to Walter, 63, a retired park ranger from Oregon. The kind of man who used to rise with the sun, chop wood before breakfast, and carry quiet strength like a second skin. But when he came to see me last fall, something had shifted. Doc, he said, eyes on the floor, I just don't feel like me anymore. He wasn't broken, but he was dimmed. He told me he was waking up exhausted. His legs were heavy. His mornings felt like a slow crawl. Intimacy was a memory slipping away. His labs weren't terrible, but they whispered the truth. Low normal testosterone, rising blood pressure, sluggish circulation. And here's where most men go wrong. They reach for pills. But sometimes what your body needs is far simpler and sitting in your kitchen. So I gave Walter a single assignment. 2 soft-boiled eggs every morning. He blinked. Eggs, that's it. Yes, but done right, runny yolks, no overcooking. Here's why it matters. Choline fuels acetylcholine, the neurotransmitter tied to arousal, muscle response, and focus. CoQ10 and B12 boost your cells' energy engines. Selenium and omega-3s support testosterone and blood vessel health. I told him this isn't breakfast. This is ignition. You've been trying to start your day on an empty tank. He listened. 2 soft-boiled eggs, pinch of black pepper, sometimes half an avocado. By week 2, he said, Doc, I feel a bit sharper. By week 4, he said, I'm waking up with signs of life. Not perfect, but something was coming back online. Because nitric oxide, the molecule that powers erections, blood flow, stamina, doesn't just appear, it's built. Miss the nutrients and you miss the spark. And that's the point. Walter didn't just get better labs, he got his presence back, his quiet fire. And if you're sitting there thinking, that's me, then start small, start with the egg. Now let me ask you something, brother. What's your morning ritual? Drop it in the comments. And if this story hit home, hit the like button. Maybe it's just timing, but the men who do tend to have better mornings. And if you're new here, subscribe. This is your place now. A space for men who don't settle. Let's get you back to feeling like you. Next, almond butter, the artery relaxer. Let me tell you about Raymond. He was 70, a retired electrician from Ohio. Still sharp, still quick with a story, still proud of the hands that had wired entire buildings. But when he sat down in my office, he dropped his voice and asked something most men hesitate to say out loud. Doc, is it normal to feel disconnected down there? He wasn't talking about emotions. He meant blood flow. His erections were unreliable, his feet always cold. And he'd started getting dizzy when standing too fast. It's like my body is losing power, he said, and I can't flip the breaker. We ran his numbers. No major heart disease. But blood pressure was creeping up. Nitric oxide production was low. His vessels were tightening slowly, quietly. Before going to medications, I gave him something unexpected. Try 1 tablespoon of almond butter a day, he blinked. Almond butter like what my grandkids eat with apples. Yes, exactly that, but not as a snack, as a prescription. Almond butter is packed with L-arginine, an amino acid that fuels nitric oxide production. That means more relaxed arteries, better circulation, more oxygen to the brain, muscles, and yes, your most important systems for intimacy. It's also rich in magnesium, zinc, and monounsaturated fats. Magnesium keeps vessels flexible. Zinc supports testosterone, and those healthy fats help balance hormones and steady your nerves. Raymond took the challenge. Every morning he stirred a spoonful into his oatmeal. Some days he just dipped sliced apples into it, and within a few weeks things started changing. His hands felt warmer, the dizziness faded, his nighttime bathroom trips dropped, but the real shift, he felt more confident again. Doc, he told me, half smiling, it's like the lights came back on, not because of a magic pill, but because his body finally had the raw materials it needed to do what it's designed to do. That's what I want you to hear. If your circulation feels stuck, if your performance feels flat, do not overlook something as simple as almond butter. It's not about trends, it's about function. And for many men over 60, this one small change unlocks a bigger comeback. Let me ask you something. Have you tried almond butter regularly? If so, how do you use it? Drop it in the comments. Your answer might help someone else take that first step. And if this story resonated, hit like, not for me. For you, because maybe this is the nudge your body has been waiting for. If you're new here, subscribe. This podcast is not for passers-by. It's for men who are ready to rebuild one habit at a time. Next, we're talking about a drink that might be sitting in your fridge right now. It looks innocent, but it could be the key to deeper sleep, better testosterone, and waking up ready. Let's talk about Tart cherry juice. Tart cherry juice, the sleep and circulation superfood. Let me introduce you to Leonard, 68, a retired high school counselor from Colorado, a man who spent his life helping others find clarity. Now he was the one searching for it. He leaned forward and said quietly, "Doc, I wake up more tired than when I went to bed. And I can't remember the last time I felt ready in the morning. Not just alert, physically ready." His sleep was broken, 2 or 3 bathroom trips a night, mornings were foggy, coffee barely helped. Intimacy had become distant. He blamed it on age, most men do. But fading energy and low testosterone often start with poor sleep. When sleep becomes shallow, the body misses its chance to repair. And that repair is where recovery begins. Testosterone is produced during deep sleep. So is growth hormone. The blood vessels regenerate while you rest. When that process breaks down, your energy fades, your mood shifts, and your circulation slows. I gave Leonard a simple challenge. Drink 4 ounces of tart cherry juice 30 minutes before bed. He looked puzzled. Juice at night? Yes, tart cherry juice contains melatonin, which helps signal your brain to sleep. It also delivers anthocyanins. These plant compounds reduce inflammation and support the lining of your blood vessels. That means better rest and better circulation while you sleep. Leonard tried it, just a small glass every night. No added sugar, no fancy tricks. After 1 week, he said he was falling asleep faster. By week 3, he was sleeping through the night. But what truly surprised him was what returned in the morning. "I feel like myself again," he told me, "not just rested, ready." His morning erections came back. His blood pressure dipped slightly. And for the first time in months, he didn't need coffee to feel awake. His clarity and calm returned with it. That's the difference deep sleep makes. It restores more than energy. It rebuilds function, circulation, and confidence. Tart cherry juice is not a miracle, but it is a tool, a natural one your body knows how to use. Leonard now calls it his nighttime tonic. I simply call it effective. Have you tried tart cherry juice before bed? Or do you have a sleep ritual that works for you? Share it in the comments. Your story might help someone else take action, and if this message resonated, hit like. Not just to support the channel, but to support your own comeback. That small action is a sign of intent, a decision to care for yourself. If you haven't subscribed yet, this is the right time. Every week, we dive into stories, strategies, and tools to help men over 60 rebuild strength from the inside out. Next, we'll talk about a food that's tiny but mighty. One that supports your sleep, your hormones, and your prostate. Let's talk about pumpkin seeds. Pumpkin seeds, the prostate protector. Let me tell you about Gerald. He was 64, a retired airline mechanic from Texas. The kind of man who worked with precision, solved problems quietly, and never made excuses. But when he sat down in my office, there was something different about his posture. Not pain, more like weariness, not in his bones but in his spirit. "Doc," he said, "I'm up 2 or 3 times a night to pee, every night. I never sleep through, and when it comes to being intimate I just feel off." I've heard this story countless times, and more often than not the source is the same, the prostate. It may be small, but after 60, its influence grows in more ways than one. As it enlarges, it presses against the urethra, making urination more frequent, more urgent, and less complete. That alone can rob a man of his rest, but it goes deeper. The prostate plays a quiet role in testosterone regulation, sexual function, and even emotional balance. When it's inflamed or out of sync, everything downstream suffers. Gerald had tried medication before, but the side effects frustrated him, so we started simpler. I told him to eat a small handful of pumpkin seeds every day. Roasted, unsalted, nothing fancy. He chuckled. "Seeds, that's it, yes. And here's why. Pumpkin seeds are one of nature's richest sources of zinc. The prostate uses more zinc than any other part of the male body. It helps regulate testosterone, reduce inflammation, and support normal growth. When zinc is low, the prostate tends to swell. Testosterone begins to falter, and symptoms appear quietly but persistently. Pumpkin seeds also provide magnesium, omega-3s, and plant sterols. Together, these nutrients support hormone balance, reduce urinary urgency, and calm the inflammation that silently affects performance and clarity. Gerald kept a jar on his kitchen counter. Every afternoon, he grabbed a handful. He didn't change anything else. By week 2, he was sleeping more soundly. By week 4, he was down to just 1 bathroom trip a night. That change alone gave him better mornings, more energy, and a clearer mind. But something else happened too. "I feel more in control again," he said. "Like I've got my rhythm back." That's what this is about. Not perfection, not miracles, just steady, quiet progress. The kind that gives you back your footing. So let me ask you, have you ever tried pumpkin seeds as a daily habit? What difference did you notice? Share it in the comments. You never know which man out there needs to hear your story. And if this message gave you something to think about, go ahead and tap that like button. That simple action might be your first win today. And if you haven't subscribed yet, consider this your invitation. Because what's coming next is about more than sleep or blood flow. It's about rebuilding strength at the cellular level. In the next part, we're going to talk about a food that repairs your gut, supports your hormones, and restores muscle without weighing you down. Let's talk about Greek yogurt. Greek yogurt, dual protein repair. Let me tell you about Dennis. He was 70, a retired train conductor from Pennsylvania. A man of few words, steady hands, and habits carved by decades of discipline. But when he came to see me, he didn't talk about pain, he talked about emptiness. "I get through the day," he said, "but I feel like I'm running on fumes. I don't bounce back like I used to." And when it comes to intimacy, the will is there, the body, not so much. There was frustration in his voice, not loud, but deep. The kind that builds slowly when a man feels like he's slipping away from himself. So I asked him about his diet. Like many men in his 70s, Dennis had cut back on meat. His breakfast was toast and coffee. Lunch was usually light. Dinner depended on what his wife made, but something was missing. He wasn't getting enough protein. Not the kind that helps restore muscle, support hormones, and fuel steady energy. I suggested something simple, 1 cup of plain Greek yogurt in the evening, ideally paired with a few walnuts or berries. He hesitated. Yogurt at night? Yes, and here's why. Greek yogurt contains both casein and whey. These are slow-digesting proteins that release gradually through the night. When you're asleep, your body repairs muscle, balances testosterone, and restores immune function. Without adequate protein, that recovery process stalls. But Greek yogurt offers more than protein. It's packed with probiotics which support gut health. And your gut is not just for digestion. It influences how you absorb key nutrients like zinc, magnesium, and vitamin D. These are the very elements that shape testosterone, inflammation, and mood. Dennis gave it a try. He ended his day with a bowl of Greek yogurt, a sprinkle of cinnamon, and a few chopped walnuts. 2 weeks later, he told me something had shifted. I'm not dragging in the mornings anymore, he said, and I don't ache as much after yard work. By the 4th week, his mood had lifted. His energy was steadier. His sense of control returned. And in his words, my wife's been noticing too. That's the quiet power of nourishment done right, not supplements, not stimulants, just the right food at the right time. Greek yogurt isn't flashy. But it is functional, it feeds your muscles, it supports your hormones, and it helps your gut do its job. Let me ask you something. Have you ever used Greek yogurt as a part of your evening routine? If so, how did it make you feel? Share it below. Your insight might be exactly what another man needs. And if this story gave you a sense of hope or clarity, hit like. That small action is part of your comeback. If you haven't subscribed yet, now is the time. Every episode here is built for you, not just to inform, but to help you rebuild. Next, we're going to talk about another night food, one that works even more quietly but reaches deeper into your strength. A food rich in selenium, a food your body can use while the world sleeps. Let's talk about cottage cheese. Cottage cheese, the quiet strength builder. Let me introduce you to Howard. He was 72, a retired math teacher from Illinois, precise, calm, a man who loved classical music and early morning walks. But lately, something wasn't adding up. At least not to him. I eat well, I stay active. I go to bed on time, but I wake up tired, I feel softer. I've lost strength in places I didn't expect, he told me. There was no anger in his voice, just confusion and a quiet sense of loss. We looked at his nutrition. He was getting some protein, but not enough, especially not before bed. And he was missing something most men don't think about. Selenium. That combination matters more than people realize. At night, your body goes into repair mode. Muscle, hormones, immune function, all of it needs protein. And selenium plays a direct role in testosterone production and cellular protection. When either is lacking, your recovery falls apart quietly. So I recommended something old school. Half a cup of cottage cheese before bed. He raised an eyebrow. Cottage cheese? I haven't had that since college. Exactly. Sometimes what works best is what we've forgotten. Cottage cheese is rich in casein, a slow-digesting protein that feeds your muscles through the night. It doesn't spike blood sugar. It doesn't weigh you down. It simply nourishes the repair process. And it delivers selenium, a trace mineral that supports testosterone, protects the prostate, and helps fight oxidative stress at the cellular level. In short, it keeps the aging process in check. Howard was skeptical but open. He added it to his routine, just half a cup, sometimes with a sprinkle of cinnamon, sometimes with a few pumpkin seeds. By the end of the 2nd week, he told me his sleep felt deeper. His legs weren't as stiff in the mornings. He even noticed a change in his mood. I feel steady again, he said. Not young, just solid. That's what quiet restoration looks like. No headlines, no magic. Just the right building blocks delivered at the right time. If you've ever tried cottage cheese at night, I'd love to know what you noticed. Share it in the comments. And if you haven't tried it, consider this your nudge. And if this story gave you something to reflect on, give it a like. That one click might be the beginning of your own routine. If you're not subscribed yet, now's the moment. We're not just building knowledge here, we're building momentum. Next, I want to share something special. a simple morning ritual. A shake I've used with dozens of men to ignite circulation, balance hormones, and rebuild energy from the ground up. Let's talk about the Rebuild Shake. Rebuild Shake, Dr. Prescott's prescription blend. Let me tell you about Marvin, 69, a retired football coach from Georgia, big voice, big heart, the kind of man who used to light up a room just by walking in. But lately, mornings dragged, he skipped breakfast. Coffee became his substitute for energy. I used to be charged up by 7, he said. Now it's noon and I'm still waiting to kick in. His labs weren't alarming, but the pattern was clear. No real fuel, no signal to the body that it's time to turn on. After 60, your body doesn't just wake up. It needs direction. It needs the right nutrients, not just calories, so I gave Marvin a recipe. A morning ritual I call the Rebuild Shake. Simple ingredients, carefully chosen to support what men over 60 need most. 1 scoop of plant-based protein for muscle. Half a banana for potassium and energy. 1 tablespoon of almond butter for circulation. A teaspoon of ground flaxseed for hormone support. A handful of spinach for magnesium and nitric oxide. 1 cup of unsweetened oat milk. And a pinch of cinnamon to help regulate blood sugar. He committed 1 shake first thing each morning, before coffee, before his walk. By week 2, his mind felt clearer, his mornings steadier. By the end of the month, his wife said something simple: "You feel like you again." That's the power of rhythm. 1 act of consistency repeated daily. Every ingredient supports something vital. Testosterone, circulation, recovery, mental clarity. Marvin kept it going even on vacation. Because, in his words, it gave him momentum. And when a man feels momentum again, everything changes. Now let me ask you, do you have a shake or morning routine that works for you? Share it in the comments. Your approach might be just what another man needs. And if this message gave you something to think about, hit like. That small action might be your start. If you haven't subscribed yet, this is the place. No hype, no fluff. Just science, habits, and truth for men who are ready to rebuild. In the next episode, I'll reveal 2 common mistakes men make after starting these habits. Simple missteps that quietly undo real progress. You won't want to miss that. Until then, stay with the process. 1 food, 1 habit. 1 day at a time, your comeback is already in motion. Closing, your comeback has just begun. Before we wrap, I want to leave you with this. You're here because a part of you knows it's not over. That your strength, your clarity, your vitality are not things of the past. They're waiting for you. Beneath the noise, beneath the fatigue. And you've just taken a real step toward reclaiming them. Not with noise, not with hype, but with knowledge, with action, with something as simple as food. So let me say this, I'm proud of you. Not because you watched a video, but because you chose not to give up. You chose to listen, to learn, to try. And if you felt something in today's message, if something stirred in your gut or reminded you of who you used to be, then don't let it fade. Tap that like button, subscribe if you haven't yet, not because it helps me, but because it helps you commit. Leave a comment, ask your question, tell your story. You never know which man might read your words at just the right time and feel less alone. And if this helped you, share it with someone you care about. A friend, a brother, your son, because your comeback might be the spark for someone else's. This podcast isn't about perfection, it's about motion. About refusing to sit still when you were born to keep going. So take what spoke to you, put it to work. 1 food, 1 habit, 1 day at a time, and when you do, may your mornings feel lighter, your mind clearer, your steps stronger. May your energy return, your confidence rise, and your quiet fire burn again. I'm Dr. Jonathan Prescott. This is the Prescott Lab Podcast, and I'll be right here waiting for you in the next episode.